Finally got all the parts in, guys. This is less than $100 worth of mods and parts for the SCX10iii Basecamp. I'm going to throw them all on in this video. I'm also going to show you how to put them on, and I'm going to tell you why I chose these mods in particular, coming right up. That's right, guys, less than $100 worth of mods for this truck, and we're going to turn it into an absolute beast. Now, these mods that I chose them for multiple reasons. One, experience. Two, can you install them with the included tools? I'm not going to install it with the included tools, but can you? And this is for the guys that just got this truck for the very first time, jumped on the Amazon and ordered some parts. Can you install these specific parts with the included 4-way and Allen wrenches? I'm going to go ahead and tell you, yeah, you can. So that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't think about when they start telling you how to upgrade your truck, is do you even have the tools to do it? So if you don't have this extensive toolkit, which, by the way, I do have a video of that. I'll link it up here somewhere. I'll also put it down below in the description. So if you want to know what kind of tools I use, be sure to go check that out. But this video is for you if you don't have a whole bunch of tools, if you're just now starting off, and you really don't want to get into the whole electronic stuff, because trust me, guys, I really want to throw some different electronics in this truck, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep it just like how you guys would have it as your first truck. So I'll also be showing you a couple of free things that I've done since the last video. I'll do that first, and then we'll jump right into the parts that I chose, and I'm going to show you how to install them, and I'm going to do a test video at the end of this, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Let's get into it. All right, so before we get into that, we're going to go over a couple of quick things that I did for free that I didn't include in the last video. One of them being that I lowered the truck down a little bit. So what that's going to do is it's going to lower the CG. And if you ever hear somebody talking about that, or if you see videos, they're talking about the center of gravity. So the center of gravity is basically, you know, at what point does the truck tip over this way, and what point does the truck want to tip over this way, basically. Okay, basic. That's very, very basic. Somebody's going to say it's wrong, but that's basic, okay? But in theory, you want as much weight low and forward. That's why you'll see a bunch of people putting brass on the front axle, or they're moving all the electronics forward. That's why I did the battery tray mod up here. I originally had it over here, but I moved it up here. But what I did was I basically took the little spacer off of the shock shaft, and if you don't know what that is, it's that little silver rod coming out of the shock. So I took the little plastic spacer off the bottom of that, and I put it on the inside under the piston. It will require you removing and disassembling the entire shock. Pretty straightforward. But you put that underneath, and what that does is that limits the down travel. So essentially when the truck is sitting, it sits lower because that piston is up higher versus how it was from factory, and that's going to lower the CG. The next thing I did was I seriously trimmed up on this rear bumper here. If you can't tell, that is not how it is from factory. It's got like this big mouth that hangs down, and I was noticing I was catching it on stuff. So I just trimmed all of that off, and I used a Dremel, a file, and a side angle cutter to trim all that off. I'll put some pictures up here so that you can kind of see what it looked like during that process, half and half. But yeah, what that'll do is basically when you're coming down off of something, when your rear tire comes off of something, if it hits back here, it'll have a more likely of a chance of just sliding off of it. So that's really good. It's going to keep you from getting hung up on stuff. Didn't mess with the strength of the rear bumper at all, so don't worry about that. All right, so now we're going to go over some things about the parts that I did get for this truck for less than $100. Actually, I think between all of them, it was like $80. It was like $80. And trust me, guys, I really want to throw some different electronics in this, but I'm not going to. Again, I already said why. But first thing right off the bat is we're going to go off the center of gravity again. So, of course, you want to add some weight. So the best way to do that is some super heavy portal covers. You really want to keep the weight low and wide. Now, the reason why I say wide is because when you're trying to side hill, if you have the weight in the center, like if you have a diff cover by itself, nothing else, just a diff cover, it's really not going to help the side-to-side stability. So that's why you'll see a lot of people, they'll throw brass weights on the portals and stuff like that. So got that zeroed out. So each portal cover is about 100 grams, so 200 grams total. The inner factory portal covers are probably about 20 grams between the two of them, so that's almost 180 gram improvement on the front axle. The next thing is going to be some overdrive gears. Now, big controversy with overdrive gears. Some guys say the better, more the better. I think that too much is too much. And I think that line crosses at about 30%. 30% and up overdrive, you're just dragging the back of the truck everywhere, and that could be extremely hard to control sometimes. So these gears here are 24-25% overdrive. That's really kind of the sweet spot, especially for almost a completely stock truck. Now, to counteract that, because it is going to make the truck spin faster in the front, we are keeping the brushed system on here right now. So in order to counteract that so that the truck isn't lunging forward all the time, we're going to put a smaller pinion gear on it. So the factory pinion gear on the motor is a 14 tooth. This is a 11 tooth. So it's going to slow the truck down from the motor, but it's going to maintain the same speed overall because you're still keeping the front super fast with these overdrive gears. So the next thing is side hill stability again. So adding a little bit wider wheel hexes. Not crazy. You don't want these super wide wheel hexes that put it all the way out here, because then you run into something called scrub angle. So scrub angle is if the tire pivots and it doesn't stay in the relative same spot. If it starts, the further you go out, the more it starts to do this like wild sweeping motion, you're going to burn your servo out like that. So just a little bit wider to keep it stable without putting extra stress on the servo. So these are 8mm wheel hexes, and I did the math. I think the factory ones are like 4. So this is double the width of the factory hex. So it's just going to scooch the tires out just a little bit to add some stability on side hills. And then the last thing, huge controversy with this. People think that it doesn't work. I think that it works in certain circumstances. In certain circumstances it doesn't. But this is a rear link riser. So what that does is it takes these rear links up here and it makes them higher. And what that does is your traditional truck, when you hit the brake, the front dips, okay? When you hit the accelerator, the back squats, okay? So imagine if you're climbing up a rock and you go to punch to get over it, the back's gonna squat, it's gonna throw your CG up, and it's gonna flip you off of it. And I know that you guys have probably experienced that when you're trying to climb up something. You give it a punch to get up over it, and the truck wheelies and flips over on its back. Well, that is because it's squatting in the back, and it's lifting the front of the truck up. So what this does, essentially, is it raises the rear links up to change the force angle that's applied whenever that punch is given. And basically, instead of squatting the back, it forces all that pressure forward, and it tucks the front. So instead of it rolling backwards, it's now going to push itself into the rock where the front tires can grab and get you over it. So that's the theory. There's a bunch of channels out there that say they don't work. There's a bunch that do. I think it does and doesn't all at once. It just really depends. But we're gonna jump right into this. We're gonna start by taking off the front tires, and then I'm gonna show you one full portal assembly, and we'll go from there. And poof, tire's gone. So I've already done this side just to make sure that everything fits, and it does. So I'm going to go over how to do it with this side, but I'm going to do it kind of quick to not make this video 10 hours long. So first we're going to remove these 2 screws, top and bottom, on the C-hub. And we're going to remove this screw here. And there we go. Now you can just pull this out. We don't need the CV axle to come out, we just need this. So now that we have this out, all we need to do is remove these 4 screws after pulling the wheel hex off, which is a 1.5mm screw there. So simply just pull this dude out just like that, and then we can slide this off. Bam, that's off. Now we're going to remove these 4 screws, and poof, just like that. Once you got these 4 screws removed, now you can gently separate the cover and it's going to expose the gears just like that. Now we need to get these gears off. These are the old ones. And all you're going to do is you're going to hold the gear, you're going to push this shaft in a little bit so that you can pull this little pin out. Then you can pull this gear off. Take your new one with the slot pointing inwards or up, however you want to think about it. Put that on there just like that. Put your pin back through and then pull the shaft down or outward, and then there you go. So now we turn our attention to this dude here. So we need the bearings out of this. So this big bearing here is pretty easy to get out, but I'm going to show you the hard one first. So I have this little tool. I don't remember where I got it from, but it's a little angled pick. Okay, and all you got to do is you just get that up underneath the bearing and then just gently pry, and it should pop out at some point. You might have to work it around for a minute, but it will come out eventually. And then for the big one, all you have to do is just push it out from the back side. I can already hear somebody in the comments, oh, you're going to bend the bearing. I've never bent one doing this. You really have to send it in order to bend a bearing, I think. But you just gently work it back and forth until it pops out. Now we can take our new portal housing. So I chose to do the inners instead of the outers. I know a lot of people choose to do the outers, but I like to do the inners. Feels a little bit more sturdy to me. Pop that bearing in, pop this one in, just like that. Now we can take some of our marine grease, just a little bit, we'll say about that much, and then all I'm going to do is just kind of smush it into one of the corners here. You might make a mess, it's okay. So all of that will work in. So now what we need to do is we're going to have to put this back on the truck first, and I'll show you why. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, and there you have it. Put that on there. Same, just put those two screws up here in the C-hub and then put this one back in. So since this is metal now, I like to use a little bit of blue Loctite on the thread just to make sure it doesn't come off. So now we're going to take our new input gear and just slide it right over that CV axle just like that. Pretty simple. And then all we got to do is pop this dude back on just like that. Put our screws in just like that. Poof, got our screws in. Now we're going to take our new wheel hex. We're going to slide it right over and then put our little hex screw back in, and then we will be done with this just like that, guys. Super simple mods. You can do it pretty quickly. And remember, when you're threading all this stuff back in, make sure to thread it in by hand first. If you're using a power tool, make sure to thread it in by hand first. Some of these parts, these cheaper parts, for example, they can be kind of 50-50 on the threads. So be sure to hand tighten them first. Get them running a little bit. Then you can use your gun to screw it in. But don't tighten it with it. Get it all the way down and then snug it up with hand tools. So boom, now that that's done, those parts fit on there pretty nice. Like I said, I've already done the other side. Upgrades. Got overdrive gears, brass, and wideners all in the front in one go. So next thing, we're going to be upgrading the pinion. We're going to be switching out the factory 14 tooth for this 11 tooth. Pretty simple. We're just going to pull these two screws out for the cover, and once you get those removed, all you do is you just slide this cover off just like that. Set that to the side, and now we can get to the motor pinion and the adjustment screws. We're going to need to adjust the motor afterwards because the mesh is going to be set up incorrectly. So all you gotta do is get that off. Man, that thing is on there tight. Woo! Alright. Get that dude off of there. Man, that guy is on there pretty good. We're gonna have to loosen up these, which I will do off camera real quick. And once you get the two alignment screws loosened up, you should be able to just slide the motor over so that you can get the old pinion off. You can see it says 14 right there. So we're switching to a 11. So it's going to make it slower on the output of the transmission, but with the overdrive gears in the front, it should maintain the overall speed roughly the same. So what we're going to do is you want the little set screw on the pinion gear to be lined up with the flat on the shaft. So you can see it's around over here and it's got a nice flat. So you're going to put the set screw on the flat side of that shaft, and you're going to line up the gears best you can, mostly eyeball, and tighten it down when you got it where you think it needs to be. And now here is where something new comes into play. If you've ever heard of motor mesh. So motor mesh is basically how tight the gears are to each other. So you can see right there, it's not even touching, right? Pretty simple. You'd think you would just slam it all the way to it. But what tends to happen is it's too tight to each other. This is really hard to show on camera for some reason. So you see how there's no wiggle there? I'm trying to wiggle the spur, the pinion's not moving. So what you want to do is you're going to have to play with it back and forth a little bit, move the motor out some, and then wiggle it. What you want is the slightest bit of wiggle. And then you're going to retighten those two screws down, and then you should be good. Another way to check I've seen way back is people will thread a piece of paper between there. If it cuts the paper, it's too tight. If it doesn't leave a crinkle in the paper, it's too loose. You could try that method. There's a bunch of videos out there on how to set motor mesh really easily. I just do it by hand because, you know, it is what it is. So with that, once you get your motor mesh set, all you're going to do is put the cover back on, put the two screws back in, and then that part is done. Easy peasy. All right, and lastly, I already put the rear hexes on. So lastly, the only thing we have to do is installing this rear link riser. So if you're not too sure about this mod in particular, don't do it. You don't have to do it. I'm just saying this is what I'm doing. And the reason why I'm reinforcing that now is because with this mod, you're going to have to trim some of the plastic off of this brace back here on the chassis. So you're going to have to cut it along here to remove this whole piece, and you're going to have to cut these pieces off, which is fine for me because this is the battery tray mount and I never use that. So I'm going to cut these off real quick, just like that. So cut these two pieces off, cut this cross brace off. Here they are right there. So now that we got those off, all you got to do is pull that screw out, and then you're going to slap this dude in with one of the included nuts and bolts. And I'll do that real quick, and then all you got to do is put your links on whatever setting you want. I'm going to use the first hole down here so that it's not super big of a difference, just to test it out, and I can always move it up to that upper hole if I feel like it's not working. So let's do that real quick. And boom, guys, done. Just like that. Pretty straightforward back here on this one. You can kind of see. But yeah, like I said, I just put it in that first hole right there. So in the general theory, what it does is it raises this link position. So if you just kind of eyeball that line of the link, if it tilts it down, basically, where these two links naturally kind of come together, okay, obviously they don't physically come together, but if you just continue those lines, following the links forward, where they come together, the lower it is, the more of a chance you'll have at anti-squat, which is, like I said before, when you punch, it's going to tuck the front instead of lifting the front. So that's going to help you a lot on those super steep inclines where you need that punch to get up and over it. So guys, just like that, bing bang boom, all those parts are on. Quick recap, what we did was we put some brass inner portal housings on with some 24% overdrive gears and 8mm wheel hexes all the way around. We did a 11-tooth pinion on the motor instead of the 14, and then we did the rear link riser. So bing bang boom, first round of purchased mods installed. I'm going to throw the tires on, I'm going to get a battery charged up, and then it's late tonight, but it'll still be in this video. But tomorrow I'm going to take it up and we're going to give it a test run and see how it does. So yeah, let's get to that. All right, we're back at the crawl spot. So we're going to hit some of the same lines that I hit before with just the free mods, and we'll see how it compares. Let's get on it. All right, we're going to jump right into doing the first obstacle. Let's see if it's any better with the new mods. Ooh, right up, nice and smooth. Back's gonna come around. Gonna steer into the rock on the left. I am having some weird drivetrain issues. Anyway, let's see if we can do a couple of obstacles while I'm here. It was doing it a little bit beforehand. Oh, even with that diff slipping, it still went right up. All right, next obstacle. All right, next one. I don't know what's going on in the back of this diff. I might have to look at the gears and see if they need some shimming, because it seems like it's right there, see? And it was doing it before the mods, so I'm not really too sure what's going on with that. Okay, this is getting irritating now. Oh, but it went right up, even though it's still doing weird diff things. Let's go to the next obstacle. A little quick and easy one right here. Should be no trouble for it. Alright, this one we struggled with a little bit last time. So let's see if it goes up any easier. Hopefully that diff won't give us a whole lot of trouble. I'm gonna get lined up and give it a bump again. That is ridiculous. Has anybody else had any issues out of that rear diff? I'm really gonna have to see what's going on with that. Alright, this one right here should be pretty easy. Just gotta line it up just right. Get the hook right there, yep, right up. Nope. Oh, I goofed it. Let's try that again. That was driver error. Get it up. As soon as that back tire touches, we start the turn, and then we give it some beans, just like that. Easy. All right, and last obstacle. Got my tires nice and wet. Let's see how it does. It's now a little bit wider. So will that benefit or hurt. It looks like it's going to benefit, except for that diff. What is going on in that thing? Well, there you have it, guys. I think that the truck performed really well. Also, full disclaimer, the clicking noise that you were hearing coming out of the truck wasn't coming out of the diff like I said in the video. It was actually coming out of the optional dig unit that I installed on this truck. The lockout was set incorrectly and it was causing it to slip just a little bit under load in the actual transmission. So no diff issue out of the truck, so that was my bad, Axial. Don't come after me. But the dig unit I installed is kind of like a side project. It doesn't affect anything with the purchased mods or the free mods that I've done with this truck. All my other trucks have special features and this one didn't, so I want to dig on this truck because it was an optional extra. I'll try to link the dig unit in the description, or if you guys don't even care about it, don't even worry about it. But if you want to see it, if you want to see me set it up, if you want to see me use it, test it out, be sure to drop a comment down below and say, hey, we want to see that, and I'll get it set up for you guys. I'll show you how to set it up, and then we'll do some test videos and things like that in the future if you guys want. Also, if you guys want me to do electronic upgrades for this truck, be sure to comment down below for that. Tell me, guys, what you want to see in this truck as far as electronics. You can set a budget for me, and I'll purchase some mods for this truck so that we can upgrade it even further and get even more performance out of it. But guys, I think that the truck performs really well. The overdrive kind of pulling the chassis along and slowing down that motor with the pinion really smoothed out the motor. And surprisingly, the extra weight and the width of the front didn't really affect the servo that much. So I think that it's good how it is, but if you guys want to see some extra upgrades in the future, be sure to comment down below. So guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and happy crawling.